pleasure and privilege for me to introduce to you our next governor, State Senator Bill Brady.
When you have the privilege of being in business, of traveling around the state and being involved with so many good people and the experiences that you learn in your life, and that's really a lot of what this is all about. Before any further ado, I have to introduce you to someone who I've known for 30 years, someone who I've been married to for 28 years, someone who gave me 3 wonderful children, 2 adult. Our oldest, Katie, is a nurse at Children's Memorial in Chicago. She's on the heart team. I hope you never have to meet her professionally. Our son, William, is a 3rd-year law student at DePaul University in Chicago, and our youngest, Duncan, is a senior at Bloomington Central Catholic High School on the football team. But that is my wife and person I believe to be your next First Lady, Nancy Brady. It's so good to see my friends Jerry and Tim and Ray here as we begin the last 29 days. Can you believe it? The longest primary to general election, I think, in the history of the world. But as we begin these last 29 days, moving forward with this state. And it's so good to be with my colleague, Randy Holcren, who will be the next United States Congressman from this area. You know, I'd be remiss in looking out into this audience, seeing a number of hats that indicate that a number of you have given the ultimate sacrifice or offered the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize our veterans who are here today. If you'd raise your hand or stand, could we recognize you with a round of applause and thank you for what you've done. These men and women are the men and women who fought to provide us with the very freedoms that we benefit from and the liberties that are so important to us. If it were not for their service, we wouldn't be here today in this country that is so great, but challenged. A country that can do so much better, and a state, frankly, that can do so much better. And that's really what this election's about. These men and women were willing to risk their lives to protect us, and it's up to us to make sure that the men and women today who are fighting for our very freedoms overseas have not only the greatest country, but the greatest state in the nation to come back to. That's what we want to do here. We've got a great agenda to do it. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about a little family folklore in the city of Dixon. We claim to have held the first fundraiser for Ronald Reagan in the state of Illinois, believe it or not. I was about 15 years old, about 1975 or 6. It occurred because my father was a member of the Eureka College Board of Trustees with both Ronald Reagan and Moon Reagan. And it was much of what my experience in meeting then Mr. Reagan and watching his gain in success and stature in leading our country that inspired many of us to do what we do today, and particularly has inspired me to give to public life, to be part of the solution. What Ronald Reagan stood for is much of what we just simply need to apply to Illinois. Understanding our strengths and our weaknesses and building on our strengths and improving upon our weaknesses. Our state has both. In the last 8 years, we've seen the weaknesses of failed leadership that has encumbered our state in deficit and debt. Over $75 billion in unfunded pension obligations. Over $35 billion in bonded indebtedness. Over $5 billion in unpaid bills. Realizing that over half of that was encumbered in just the last 8 years. Just the last 8 years. But realizing also that in spite of those weaknesses, we have great strengths, great opportunities. We are a state that is richly rooted in an economy based in agriculture and our soil. We are a state that is richly rooted in infrastructure. Most people don't know this, but we have more rail, river, road, and air infrastructure in the state of Illinois per capita than practically any other state in the nation. A state that is richly rooted in energy resources. I'm not just speaking about the nuclear energy resources or the oil or the wind, but our natural gas resources are more vast than almost any state, and our coal has more opportunity than Saudi Arabia has in oil. our corporate partners, our hospitals, our colleges, and our universities, the great diversity that we have in this state. We started in Galena, Illinois, which has got to be one of the best tourist attractions and recreational opportunities we have, to the Dixon area, the Lincoln Library, Lake Michigan, the Illinois River, the Shawnee Territories, and abound. Our diversity and our strength gives us, I think, the greatest opportunity of any state in the nation. But we need to put people in office who will leverage and maximize those opportunities so that they can work for the people of Illinois. And how do we do that? We have to make Illinois business friendly again. You know, I hear politicians say they're for jobs, but against business. You can't be for jobs and against business any more than you can be for the egg and against the chicken. So we have to focus on what other states have done to create jobs. You know, the 800,000 jobs that we've lost in the last decade is wrong. The 200,000 jobs that we've lost in the last 15 months is wrong. The 26,000 jobs that we've lost in the last 2-month reporting period is wrong. But it's not a national problem. In that same 2-month window, over 35 other states in this nation had a net increase in jobs while Illinois fell behind. So what do? Well, in business, when we want to improve ourselves, we adopt best practices from our competitors or peers. Well, it's time Illinois adopted best practices from our competitors and our peers in Indiana, New Jersey, Texas, and Tennessee. Those are states that have given the private sector an opportunity to create jobs and put their citizens back to work by being business friendly. What do? They stabilize the tax environment without raising job-killing tax increases. You can applaud for that. They leveled the playing field. They took on the challenges of a workers' compensation system that's broken. They took on the challenges of a medical malpractice system that pushes providers out of the state, reduces access, and increases cost. They took on the challenges of bureaucracy and regulation that penalize businesses rather than working with businesses to bring private sector jobs to their state. I'll just stay silent so you know when to applaud. But in addition to a stable tax environment, in addition to a level playing field, we've got to have long-term plans. When businesses make an investment, they make an investment for the long haul, not just a year or two, 20 or 50 years. And to do so, they have to know that their state's planning for its future. In rail, river, road, and air. But not just that. In broadband, in utility grids, in energy, in healthcare. Our state must compile a plan that will show the business community that we are not just going to be ready today, but we will be there for you in 10, 20, and 30 years with the best opportunities of any state in the nation to do business. But also, the fourth key component to this is we have to have a state that will live within its means. Yes? Yes, it's going to meet some tough choices. But we cannot continue to balance the budget on the backs of our health and human service providers, our schools and our universities, our counties and our cities. We must have the fiscal discipline and the forthrightness to provide a budget that we can live with and that will deliver to those providers who work so hard to provide the very services that our neighbors and our friends and our relatives need. And I promise you, as governor of this state, I will put us on the right track and we will balance the budget of Illinois in the very first year. You see, if we stabilize our state with a balanced budget, long-term plans, level the playing field, and stop the chatter about raising taxes, businesses will reinvest with all we have to offer. And they'll bring those 26,000 jobs. They'll bring those 200,000 jobs. They'll bring those 800,000 jobs back to the people of Illinois through private sector business investment. It's a win-win. We have the revenues associated with someone earning a living for their family. And we're able to pay down our deficits and debt. That's the type of Illinois we need today. The good news is many of the people of Illinois are getting the message. In almost every independent poll that's been taken, we're leading the charge. The bad news is we're still 29 days away from the election. And that gives us all an opportunity to make sure that no one in Illinois takes this election for granted. That we reach out to our friends, our neighbors, our relatives. Yes, to Republicans, but to independents and Democrats, and tell them how important these elections are for the future of our state. We're here today to ask for your continued help as we move to victory in November. Visit our website, bradyforillinois.com. Sign up. Be a part of what we're building on in the next 29 days. If you're a text person, text us at Vote Brady, one word, at 66937. And better yet, get others to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, our future's in front of us. And as Ronald Reagan once said, our better days lie ahead of us. But only if we are willing to put the work into the effort of making sure that right-minded, policy-oriented politicians are put in office to lead our state, our country, and our communities. We want to thank you for being here with us. We look forward to working with you to victory in November. Have a great lunch, and God bless you all. Thanks.
You just listened to Governor Brady's speech. What did you think?
I thought it was very well spoke and a lot of accuracy there to his statement.
Yeah. So you're taking one of the bigger signs with you?
Yes, I'm a precinct committeeman, and I have someone that would like to have the sign.
All righty. You're going to be voting for Bill Brady for governor?
Absolutely will.